sports note for Friday, November 22nd. I've actually been off the last couple of days, been trying to get this one pumped out here for you guys. And for as much money as the Nashville Predators have gone out and spent, their return on investment is absolutely atrocious right now. With Nashville's 3-0 loss against Seattle last night, the Nashville Predators have the worst record in the National Hockey League. They are mathematically tied with the Chicago Blackhawks. However, Chicago has a minus 12 goal differential. Nashville is a minus 18. And Chicago has a shootout win, whereas Nashville has not been in the shootout yet this year. Because let's also be honest, for as much talent as Nashville has tried to stockpile, they can't do much of anything right at the moment here. The Predators went out in free agency last year, signed Ryan O'Reilly after his 1 year stint in Toronto after being traded there by the St. Louis Blues. And then over the summer, went out and signed Jonathan Marchessault to a massive contract, and then also signed longtime Tampa Bay captain Steven Stamkos to a contract. Now Marchessault is a $5.5 million cap hit this year. Stamkos is an $8 million cap hit this year, and O'Reilly's on the hook for 4.5. But wait, it gets worse, and we'll come back to that here in a couple of minutes. Stamkos, the last time Nashville, played prior to this was a 5-3 loss against Vancouver back on Sunday. I'm sorry, it was a victory, and the Stamkos ends up having 2 power play goals in that game. Nashville as a team has 14 power play goals. Stamkos has got 5 of those. He's got 6 goals and 4 assists so far through 20 games, but he's a team high minus 13 going into that game. Marchessault has got 3 goals, 7 assists, and 10 points, and he's a minus 11. O'Reilly has got 3 goals, 8 assists, 11 points, and he's a minus 6. Nashville is the 8th most penalized team in the National Hockey League right now, and it might have even been worse because I have not had a chance to update the stats after the loss in Seattle last night. They only have 46 goals on the year, and the last that at the time I was putting this together on Sunday night, that was actually only a couple better than Anaheim and Chicago, who are sitting below them. And the Ducks have played a game fewer, and Chicago's played just as many as them. Nashville's averaging below 2.4 goals a game. They again are the most penalized team, but the penalty kill is not the issue because they were a league best 90.8 on the penalty kill prior to last night. Their goals allowed, they're 21st in the league, so they are scoring below 2.4 and they're giving up a little over 3.2. The power play is not the issue, it's because the power play right now is sitting at an NHL. They're at 23.3%, and across the NHL that puts them in the top 10. It was ninth previously. I'm not sure again how the numbers generally changed here, but the head scratching now has to start creeping in. Granted, there are 62 games left in this season for the Predators, but there's a long way to go, and it doesn't get any better because their next game is tomorrow night when they host the NHL best Winnipeg Jets, who have actually had 2 losses in their last 4 games and are looking to quote-unquote right their ship at this point and kind of get back to their dominant ways. And what do you think? Do you think that this level of talent is actually going to be able to score against Connor Hellebuck? I don't think so. Nashville, this is not the Nashville that a lot of people grew up with, certainly, and not even within the last 5 years. They're discombobulated. They went out and they tried to buy a whole bunch of talent. They took the Maple Leafs approach of going out and spending a bunch of money. The problem is that you've spent money on O'Reilly, who is now 6 years removed from being a Conn Smythe winner. You got Marchessault won the Conn Smythe a couple of years ago with Vegas. Stamkos was a captain who's got 2 Stanley Cup titles and has been off injured a lot in the last few years. But you've basically now got the better part of $18 million tied up in 3 players who are now well north of 30 and on the back half of their careers, and you're trying to see what you can actually milk out of them. To make things even worse, if you're a Nashville fan, the Nashville Predators still have the better part of $8 million tied up between 2 players who are no longer with the organization. Matt Duchene has not played for Nashville since 2022. He took he signed a 7-year, $56 million offer in the summer of 2019, and then took a buyout in June of 2023. He's now currently in his 2nd year in Dallas, where he signed a 1-year, $3 million deal after taking the buyout, and then signed another one this offseason, and it's seeming to work out well for him. The Duchene issue is that it's counting 5.5 million against Nashville's dead cap number this year. It's going to count for 6.5 million this and next year, and then it's going to taper off to where, with still 3 more years left on that 5-year deal, he's going to be owed. It's going to count 1.5 million from the 27 season through 28-29, and Duchene is certainly trying to help Nashville. He's certainly trying to help Dallas. Make Nashville look even that much more foolish. And as Dallas has consistently been amongst the top in that Central Division going into the playoffs the last few years. It's realistically been them and Colorado, and now you actually see that Minnesota's on the come up and looks to be a threat. And is Winnipeg for real after that record-setting start? Are they going to be able to push this through to the end line? The other aspect with, excuse me, sorry about that. The other aspect of this with Nashville is that they are paying Kyle Turris more than $2 million for the next 4 years. Turris was part of the Duchene trade, and took a buyout in October of 2020, and he still had 4 years left on a 6-year, $36 million extension with the Predators. He then signs a 2-year deal with Edmonton and retired in 2022. So how the Predators negotiated this is it saved them $4 million in salary cap space for the next 4 years after the initial buyout in 2020. That's now over with. So for the next 4 seasons, it's going to count $2 million against Nashville's cap. So right there, over the next 2 years, that's $8 million coming off of Nashville's salary cap number. Even though the number goes below $4 million the next 3 years after that, with the remaining years on Duchene's buyout, and then still you're on the hook for 1 more year of Kyle Turris, who honestly is not even in the NHL right now. Kyle Turris is actually he's a coach with a British Columbian junior team, essentially Class A junior hockey up there. He's an assistant to the general manager. Insert your Dwight Schrute jokes here all you want, but it's still the idea that you had 2 very talented players could not take that next step after your Stanley Cup run in 2016, or at least your run to the Stanley Cup Finals where you lost to Pittsburgh, and you never really rebounded from that and never really got close. Let's be honest. As Colorado, peaked. You've got Los Angeles on the come up. You've actually got Vancouver, who's always a threat. You've got Dallas again still there. Winnipeg looks to be very strong again. Are they going to be able to continue that through? There's no evidence telling you that they can't. But I would say the one issue that the one person who this honestly should not fall on, though, is head coach Andrew Brunette, because he's really just doing, he's working with what he's got available. And quite honestly, yes, you have UC Saros in net, um, who's also basically right on that 30 plateau. He There's only so much you can do, and he signed a massive contract extension himself um, just recently. The idea with Brunette is that it's really his first actual head coaching job that he's involved with now, because he actually took over for the 1 year in Florida, got them to the playoffs, and they were swept in the second round by Tampa Bay. And that was the year that Joel Quenneville suddenly had to step down in the immediate aftermath of the Chicago Blackhawks sexual assault scandal, where everyone and their mother was basically kind of let go. Stan Bowman, Quenneville, etc., etc., etc. So Brunette takes over and then gets them to the playoffs, wins the Atlantic Division Championship, and then from there is kind of shown the door, because then Paul Maurice becomes available, and we all know how that turned out. Maurice gets Florida in his first season to the Stanley Cup Finals, and then they win the Cup last year and look to be very strong again this year. So Brunette takes over last year, gets Nashville into the playoffs where they lose in 6 games to Vancouver, and now add in 2 aging vets, although Stamkos is going to be a future Hall of Famer, and Marchessault a little over a year and a half removed from being a Conn Smythe winner in the summer of 2023. Nothing is going right in Nashville, and this is even more surprising with Barry Trotz as the general manager, after being the first head coach in Predators history, and in all the success that he had, and especially moving on with the success that he had with the New York Islanders. He comes back, and we think that maybe he's going to have the right idea in getting Nashville into that top three, consistently in the Central Division, and it is completely bottomed out. So, guys, please let me know what you guys think. Is this really? Are we seeing out of Nashville what we should expect for the rest of the year? Did they overpay for guys who are not going to be able to give that level of return? Is it something that they're going to struggle and just miss out on the playoffs? Are they going to go into Are they going to get into a rhythm finally? Are they going to get into the playoffs? Is this something that's going to be? How big is Nashville's window? Is this something that they will be able to maybe kind of contest for some playoff spots in the next couple of years, as now their core three, Stamkos, Marchessault, and O'Reilly, are heading into their mid-30s, their mid to late 30s here by the time their contracts have elapsed. Mike and I will be with you guys on Sunday night for the Wise Guys Sports Show, and I will be back with you guys very, very soon. Everyone, have yourself a safe and happy American Thanksgiving holiday weekend. And again, I will see you guys very soon.